Gina asked me to put together 10 or 15 minutes on the lathe. The last video you guys got was, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes long, I guess. And that was put together from about a 45 to 50 minute conversation she and I had about the lathe and about tooling and about why we spend the time and money on doing this sort of thing when we have an entire boat to refit. So I thought I'd recap that conversation just a little bit, because obviously a great deal of that got cut out for good reason. But we've been getting a lot of comments about the lathe on Facebook in multiple places there, our page and our personal pages, and on some South Bend lathe pages and that sort of thing, wanting to know details about it and about our process. And as Gina has pointed out a few times now, we're not really a process channel. There are seemingly an endless number of people out there who will film in depth and in detail the finer points of woodworking, metalworking, machine restoration, you name it. We, like a lot of people, started this channel out really to kind of document for our own purposes the journey of refitting this boat, but also because friends and family were asking us endless amounts of questions about what we were doing, where we were at, how it was coming, what it looks like, that sort of thing. So we just figured it would be easier to just kind of put that all together. We never had any real thoughts that this was gonna start to catch traction, which it's beginning to do now. We used to get excited if we hit 20 views on a video, and we've counted subscribers by the single subscriber since the beginning of this. Anyway, basically this lathe was purchased from a gentleman in South Carolina, a very nice gentleman and his wife, and we negotiated back and forth for a few weeks and came up with a price we could both live with. It was a reasonable price for the state and condition that the lathe was in, and I don't know that he had it for a tremendously long time, and he did do some cleaning up on it, but she needed a nut and bolt restoration, meaning she needed to be torn down. Every single piece that you see on here has been disassembled down to its last screw and bolt and nut, and a number of fasteners were changed. So I'll show you some of what we were up against. This bin reflects or represent some new fasteners, like these yellow zinc fasteners. These were the bolts that were bolting it down to some 4x4 skids when I got it, but you'll see a number of old hardware in here, cap head screws and things like that came off of it, but there were a number of bolts on this machine that were inappropriate to the machine. They just were not reflective. There's I think that was for the compound. The nut on that was pretty worn out, but some shim stock in here. But there was a number of things, like this T-bolt that somebody had welded up over time. That actually came out of the arm for the collet adapter. It was actually in this position. Somebody had decided that they needed to do that to lock this arm in place, because it does dance around a little bit as the machine's running, but this originally was a stud. So a lot of these, and the other thing is they were old school thick head bolts, as you can see there. So I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to a machine such as this, or in this era, where it's a classic design and it looks the way that it looks because of the way it was put together. So I probably made 30 bolts, and that again, bring you back to the yellow zinc. I probably made 30 bolts, and what I did is, in order to get the tall head, because you can buy these tall head bolts, but they're just stupidly priced. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Somebody out there is putting them out, and they're just insanely priced for a thicker head. So what I did is I just picked these up. This extra meat on here accommodated my thicker head. I ground away the top impressions, because those are not there in the original bolts, and then just remilled the flats on this to pick up that all as one flat piece, and then put them in the sandblaster, blasted the yellow zinc off of it, and then I used this product, which I picked up off of Amazon, black for steel and iron. I didn't pick this particularly because of its inherent quality. In fact, I had originally bought Caswell, only to realize that the Caswell black oxide solution that I got, I wasn't really thinking. I do a lot of ordering at night, and it sometimes bites me in the ass, but I bought that and then realized when I got it that this is actually activator, but I didn't realize it until after I'd opened it and used it a little bit, so I couldn't return it. So this is like a preparation for black oxide when you've got a difficult part that's not taking the oxide very well. But anyway, you drop the parts in a solution of that, and within 2 or 3 minutes it's turned it to this nice dark black. And then I just went back and put it into an oil bath to saturate it with oil, because it will still rust with that black oxide on it. But so I went back and just rebuilt this stuff. You know, these screws had been pulled out and were studs, and they had been over tightened at one point and cracked the housing. So, you know, I just went back and repaired and replaced lots of missing hardware. This thing, for example, the tailstock had leveling screws in it at one point that had been drilled and tapped, and then had been abandoned, and somebody had just shoved shim stock under there and cranked it down with the hand nut, and you know, that's how they left it. Well, there's a lot of operations that you do where you need that adjustability. I mean, it already has an inbuilt screw mechanism on both sides to adjust the tailstock in this orientation. So I thought, well, let me go ahead and just put those leveling screws back in, and then I can adjust on the fly. This machine did come from the factory with a taper attachment on it, so that's been restored. This is the original 1942 Cutler and hammer switch, which was no longer appropriate for this machine because, well, that particular switch was designed for 3-phase motors. This doesn't have a 3-phase motor in it anymore. So in order to do it, I worked out the wiring diagram for that to use that barrel type switch. And then what I did is I actually added a magnetic switch on top of it, because I wasn't able to manage power on, power off, and forward and reverse inside of that switch. There just wasn't enough poles. If it had one more set of poles in it, I could have done that, but it didn't. And honestly, the machine came with a brand new Dayton drum switch that would have worked, but it wasn't period, so I took the time to restore it. The nameplate that was on it was completely destroyed. I mean, it was just eaten so badly. I tried to do a pencil etching of it, and I couldn't even really get a good impression. So that was a whole nother process to bring it back to restoration level. And again, this is a working machine. This isn't going to a museum somewhere. I'm just trying to move this machine a little bit so we can get around it. But this machine was not intended, God almighty, I gotta work on those rollers. The floor in here is filthy because I've just run from one project to the next. But anyway, the sidebar on that was, you know, the plates, I was missing 5 different plates. So I tried to purchase them online, but you couldn't find them. I mean, they just didn't exist in their original form, which was an acid etched plate. You know, and there's just little things on this that I just left or did with the original. Again, those plates, so I did this one, which some folks on the South Bend group were helpful getting me the artwork on that. I did this one. That's not a Cutler and hammer magnetic switch, but I thought, well, that would have been the type of tag that would have been on that type of switch, so I went ahead and made one. I was able to suss out the dealer of this machine when it was new, and I've created a dealer tag. This was a war production machine. So these two obviously have been antiqued a little bit. That's a little bit cleaner. That's a little bit cleaner. And again, I tried to figure out the areas where there would have been a lot of wear and a lot of solvents and things like that running over it, and tried to leave it like that. The original threading plate, I was gonna, you know, strip it and repaint it and make it fresh and new, but I thought, you know what, I really like the patina. It's readable as it is, so I just cleaned it up with some Neverdol, wiped it down with alcohol and sprayed it with clear lacquer. Same thing with the model plate. Did the same thing, just cleaned it up with Neverdol, alcohol wipe, and same with the warning plate down here. But yes, so I created this plate, that plate, the other Cutler and hammer, and then these 2 plates from scratch. Just did a dry film photo resist. You'll notice on the lube chart, it's this is an acid etched, been back flooded with paint. You'll notice that it's a little bit crooked. Well, it's a little bit crooked because I reused 3 of the 4 original holes. One of them had a pin broken in it and I had to re-drill it. But 3 of the 4 original holes, I went ahead and reused those holes, and they were crooked. from the factory. Somebody put it on crooked. So I was like, well, hell, I'm not going to fix it. That's the way that it is. So I did that. Still have a very old leather belt on here that slips like hell. I've ordered a new belt, just a newer style, but still the laced belt, simply because honestly, I find that clickety click sound as the lacing goes over, I find it to be enjoyable. The oilers, I played hell. I spent weeks online trying to find original Gitz style oilers, and come to find out they're made in Mexico, and because of the tariffs or whatever, the suppliers are not able to get them anymore. Or when they do get them, they're astronomically expensive. You can pick up some antique ones, ones that have been taken out of machines that have been scrapped, and they want, you know, hundreds of dollars for a dozen of them. It's insane. So, you know, like this one was missing a cap. I had enough of these oilers left that I was able to dismantle that, take the pin and the spring out and the cover, put a new cover on it. This one, I had to sweat a new cover on this one, and I had to sweat a new cover on this one because they were broken off. All the oil passages on this machine were clogged completely up. This one down here is bronze. I was able to restore it. And then these are just 1/8 inch NPT spring. Whatever reason, the caps on here are, you know, obviously have to be removed for adjustment. So I went ahead and shot those in a different color just because they're a maintenance item. And then just took the time and went through and cleaned it. Now, clearly this machine is not pristine. I mean, look at the bed over here. At some point, somebody flipped this thing in reverse, undoubtedly, was probably turning something with it. And these are threaded on chucks. And the damn chuck spun off at speed, apparently, because it looks like it ground out about 1/4 of an inch divot in the way. But it doesn't affect the machine. This machine came from a company out of New York State called Shawn originally. That's who bought it in 1942. It was delivered in January 1943. And they were a defense contractor during World War II who built top secret optical equipment. So I'm presuming probably bomb sights, camera equipment, that sort of thing. So the machine had a lot of use, but it was light use. It wasn't, they weren't hogging out drive shafts with it. So the bed has held up remarkably well. I did put a motor on it. It had a replacement motor on it, an old Dayton motor that had a bad winding in it. And when I looked at the cost to replace or to have the thing rewound, it was more cost effective to just purchase a new motor. So I got a new motor, did shoot the inside of this, but the vast majority of the time spent on this restoration, well, besides now, which seems to be perpetually finding the oil dripping out of the gearboxes and out of the ways. Of course, I heavily oiled the crap out of the machine as I was putting it back together, and it's still dripping, which is fine. That's the way these old machines are. So yeah, we just took the time to try to put it back into specification. I've gotten a lot of comments and a lot of compliments about the green. That is, if anybody wants that same green, I can get you the paint code. I got it from my industrial coatings guy at Sherwin-Williams. He was kind enough to spend the time, Bucky, was kind enough to spend the time and dig around and find the original paint formula. This is just a World War II vintage olive drab color. And yeah, I mean, I think I spent the most probably on paint products. That's it. I mean, she's just, you know, I put her back. She is on casters, which probably makes a lot of purists twitch, but as you know, I have a relatively small shop and it's getting more full of crap by the day. This CNC needs to get out of here. I'm no longer really using that. That shaper needs to get out of here because, again, I'm not doing cabinetry anymore in that regard, so I don't need a heavy shaper, and that thing's got all of about 4 hours, 5 hours of use on it, and it's just been sitting there. But I need things in here to be modular. They got to be up on wheels so things can be moved around. Hydraulic press over here, put it on wheels. That little table back there is on wheels and roll it wherever. This mill I've been putting back together, it's on wheels. Same kind of, and those are leveling casters, so when I get it to a place, They have little rotary jacks in them. I can level the machine out where it's at, get it retrammed and ready to go. But I've been piecing this thing back together. It's up and running. I've been built this adapter plate yesterday to get this adapted for a powered cross feed. This was missing, so I bought a new one of those and replaced that, and just did a quick rattle can finish. So I mean, the restoration that I do on these things is according to the machine, the quality of the machine, the age, the antique value of the machine. Obviously that 84-year-old lathe required a little bit more oomph than this 40-year-old Chinese mill. So it is functional. The gearbox has been completely replaced, all bearing seals, all that, fresh oil. I unpacked about 25 pounds of magnesium and titanium and aluminum from the machine, and gave it, like I said, a quick rattle can squirt, and it's just about ready to go. These machines need to have their final adjustments made on it. Yesterday I needed to turn this part, which I did, and just did a quick bore out on that so that it would fit on this shaft, which it does quite nicely. So I hadn't really done any setup or preparation on this machine other than just the restoration, so had to go through and adjust out at about 12 thousandths run out on the head. It's now it's sub 1 thousandth, but had to do that, and this chuck was out of round by probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 thousandths. Was driving me crazy, so I spent some time adjusting that, adjusted the tailstock a little bit, but it still needs a full setup. But we're out of time. I mean, I got to pack today. We're leaving 3 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning, to go to Canada for a couple weeks. So just trying to get all this crap done in here, and I just ran out of time. So when I get back, I'll spend another 3 or 4 days doing setups, make sure everything's good, true on the lathe, and trammed out on the mill. And then it's time to move back on to getting these boat projects done, because again, ultimately the whole point of these machines is to aid and support the boat restoration. But anyway, a lot of people, again, were asking for better footage of this, and again, collet attachment. You can see some things I did not bother to restore. I had a broken fin down there, but y'all wanted a better view. And again, it's not perfect. My industrial coating guy, Bucky, he asked for photographs of it finished to see how the paint looked on it, and his statement was, wow. He said, that'll make a great display piece. And I said, display my rear end? I said, that's that's a work piece that just happens to be kind of sexy. So that's it. I mean, just attention to detail, replace the oiler ports, clean everything out, new felt, new wicking, and getting everything together so that she runs. And she runs like a top. I mean, she's been great. So again, I got an original 3-jaw of a Chinese 4-jaw, which I went to go use the other day and realized it had no key. So I had to get a key, which of course, this is metric, this is standard. Couldn't find a metric one, so now I got to mill the flats on that to make it fit, but had no key. So yeah, I've probably spent a little bit of time out here today cleaning and reorganizing, getting the shop put back together, and get ready to get out of here, and then get this vacation over with, and then get back in here and get back to work. So thanks again for your comments and your questions and your observations, and for following along. We appreciate your interest, and if there's anything you want to know or want to see, you can always reach out to us. We're happy to answer questions or put you on sources that we've used for materials or for pieces and parts or what have you. And anyway, I guess that's it. I'm done rambling. Now I'm over 23 minutes. She's going to kill me. Okay. Thanks again for following along. Have a good day. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Thanks.